3 days before my wedding, I found a crumpled receipt in the pocket of my fiancée Camila's tailored blazer. It wasn't mine. It was from a boutique hotel in downtown Buenos Aires, dated 10 days earlier, signed with a name that hit me like a punch to the gut. Lucas, my brother. I stood in my loft, surrounded by wedding invitations stacked neatly on the coffee table, sample menus pinned to a corkboard, and felt my world collapse in silence. It wasn't just a betrayal of the woman I loved, the one I'd planned a life with. It was my brother, my best friend since we were kids racing bikes down the streets of Palermo. We'd shared everything. Secrets, fights, dreams of escaping our small-town roots. I didn't yell. I didn't break anything. I just sank onto the couch, staring at that slip of paper, and something inside me shifted. They thought I'd fall apart, cancel the wedding, and let their secret stay buried under tango music and champagne toasts. But if they wanted a wedding, I'd give them one they'd never forget. My name is Mateo Alvarez. I'm 34, a data analyst at a fintech startup in Buenos Aires, and I used to think loyalty was the one thing I could count on. This is a story of how I lost everything I thought was mine and took it back piece by piece on my own terms. Buenos Aires never slows down, and neither did I. My days were a blur of coding, client calls, and managing datasets that kept our company's app running smoothly. I lived in a modern loft in Recoleta, exposed brick, floor-to-ceiling windows, a coffee machine that hummed to life at 5:30 a.m. My life was a carefully crafted balance of ambition and precision. 6 figures, a gym membership I actually used, and a career that had headhunters calling weekly. I'd built it all from nothing. The son of a mechanic and a schoolteacher, proving myself in a city that didn't hand out second chances. After 4 years with Camila Torres, I thought I'd found the final piece of my puzzle. She was 33, an interior designer with a knack for turning chaos into beauty. She proposed to me on a rooftop bar overlooking the Rio de la Plata, the city lights glittering below. No grand gestures, just her, a silver ring, and the words, "Let's build forever together." I said yes before she could blink. Our wedding was planned for early summer at a historic villa in San Telmo, with a reception at a trendy rooftop venue. Live tango band, empanadas and malbec, fairy lights strung across the terrace. A guest list of 120, from my old university friends in Cordoba to her cousins in Mendoza. Then, a honeymoon in Patagonia. Every detail was locked in, spreadsheets, timelines, vendors, all because I knew control kept chaos at bay. My family adored Camila. My mother, Elena, called her a spark of joy, always comparing her to my father, Diego, who valued quiet strength. My dad liked her too, in his reserved way, appreciating her work ethic. Lucas, my younger brother by 2 years, was different. If I was the steady one, he was the wildfire, charismatic, a freelance photographer who traveled South America, always with a story to tell. People loved him. He could light up a room without trying. Growing up, we'd shared a bedroom, swapped soccer cards, and promised to always have each other's backs. When I got engaged, Lucas slapped my shoulder and laughed. "You're punching above your weight, hermano." Camila and Lucas got along effortlessly. They'd banter about art, share playlists, and tease each other over made-it family dinners. Once, my mom joked, "If I didn't know better, I'd say you two were the ones getting married." We all laughed, including me, because I trusted them. Camila was there when I got food poisoning on a work trip to Rosario. Texting me remedies at 2 a.m. Lucas was the first to call when I landed promotion to senior analyst. When I told him Camila made me feel like I could be myself, he said, "You deserve that, Mateo." I thought our wedding would be the day everything came together. Instead, it was the day it all fell apart. The night before the wedding, I couldn't sleep. I was at the Alvear Palace Hotel, sharing a suite with my father, a family tradition to keep the groom and bride apart for good luck. My dad was asleep, his glasses folded neatly on the nightstand. I sat at the desk, laptop open, triple-checking the vendor payments. Everything was perfect. Ceremony at 4 p.m., Dinner at 7. First dance at 8:30. My suit hung on the door, pressed and ready. Then my dad's phone buzzed. A notification lit up the screen, and I saw her name, Camila. Curious. I glanced over. The preview read, "Last night was unreal. Lucas. Can't wait to steal another moment. Our little secret." Attached was a photo. My stomach dropped. I unlocked the phone. My dad never changed his passcode, and opened the message. There was Camila, lounging on a velvet sofa in a dimly lit room, wearing the silk scarf I'd given her for her birthday. Lucas was behind her, his reflection in a mirror, shirt unbuttoned, his hand on her hip. The timestamp was 11:15 p.m., right after I'd left her bachelorette party at a Palermo bar. I scrolled. Months of messages unfolded. Pet names, private jokes, voice notes labeled C and L. One text from Lucas read, "Mateo's too focused on work. He won't notice." Another from Camila, "He trusts me." That's the problem. My name appeared once, in a message from her. "Mateo's asking about my late nights. We need to cool it for a bit." A voice memo from Lucas. "Sent the day I was in La Plata for a client meeting. She's not enough for you, Camila. You're a supernova, and he's just steady." I sat frozen, the phone's glow burning my eyes. My dad snored softly, oblivious. The Buenos Aires skyline pulsed outside, indifferent. I felt like I was drowning, but my hands didn't shake. I was awake, and I was done being blind. I didn't confront them. I didn't wake my dad. I moved silently, like I was outside my own life. I sat on the floor by the window, the city's lights flickering like a warning. On my laptop, I created a folder labeled Wedding Evidence. I screenshot every message, downloaded every photo, and saved every voice memo. I uploaded it all to a secure cloud drive, time-stamped and locked. Then I built a web page. Simple, elegant. A black background, gold text that read, "A gift from the groom." Below, a link to the archive. No explanations, just the truth. I generated a QR code linking to the page, tested it on my phone, and emailed the hotel's print shop. 150 cards, folded, gold border. Front reads, "A special surprise from the couple." QR code centered. Rush order, ready by 7 a.m. At 4:30 a.m., I slipped on a hoodie and went to the lobby. The night clerk handed me a sleek envelope filled with cards. I paid in cash and tucked it into my bag with my cufflinks and speech notes. At 6 a.m., my wedding planner, Sophia, texted to confirm the timeline. I replied, "It's going to be a day no one forgets." I call Javier, an old friend from university, who'd become a lawyer. I hadn't seen him in years, but I trusted his judgment. I sent him the folder and asked, "Is it legal to share this publicly?" He called back in 15 minutes. "It's factual, unedited, and not defamatory. You're clear." I asked if he'd come to the wedding. He said he'd be there, bringing copies of the lease agreement for the loft I'd co-signed with Camila. I wasn't losing my home on top of everything else. I checked our shared Google Drive for wedding logistics. Camila and Lucas had used it to exchange photos, hidden in a folder labeled catering. I downloaded the login history, printed it, and added it to the envelope. At 5:45 a.m., I stood by the window, the city waking below. I whispered to myself, if they want a show, I'll give them one. By 10 a.m., I was dressed, black tux, crisp shirt, gold cufflinks. The barber had trimmed my beard, and Sophia texted updates. The band was setting up. The flowers were perfect. My phone buzzed. Lucas texted my dad. "We're here by 3:30. Camila's glowing. Can't wait." A winking emoji followed. I stared until the screen went dark. In my suit, I didn't feel like a groom. I felt like a man walking into a fight. At 3 p.m., I arrived at the villa in San Telmo. Sophia had instructed the ushers to hand out the QR cards with the programs, calling it a little gift from the couple. Javier arrived in a gray suit, blending into the crowd, his briefcase holding the lease papers. Camila walked in radiant in her ivory gown, her arm linked with her mother's. Lucas followed, best man in a tailored suit, grinning like he owned the room. My parents beamed, my mom dabbing her eyes. I waited behind the courtyard arch, my face calm. At 3:45, Camila entered the prep room. She kissed my cheek. "You look perfect, Amor," she said. I smiled. "Ready for a surprise?" Her eyes flickered, but she nodded. "Always." The tango music started. Guests sat, some already scanning the QR cards. Whispers began, soft at first, then sharper. My mom scanned a card, her face paling. She gripped my dad's arm. Lucas adjusted his tie, oblivious. Camila smiled at her aunt across the aisle. The ceremony began. Camila stood beside me, her hand light on mine. Lucas stood to my left, his grin unshaken. My parents sat in the front row, my mom's eyes fixed on her phone, my dad's jaw tight. The officiant's voice was steady. "If anyone knows a reason why these two should not be joined, speak now or forever hold your peace." I stepped forward. "I do." The crowd stilled. Camila's hand froze. Lucas's smile vanished. Sophia handed me the microphone, her eyes wide. I faced the guests. "I love this woman," I said, my voice clear, "and I trusted this man more than anyone. I thought they were my future, my family, but while I was planning this day, they were planning something else." I turned to Camila. "You didn't just break a promise. You broke me." Then to Lucas. "You weren't just my brother. You were my best friend, and you took everything I gave you and turned it into a lie." I nodded to Javier, who connected his laptop to the projector meant for our engagement photos. The screen lit up with texts, photos, voice memos. Gasps rippled through the crowd. "Check the cards in your programs," I said. "The truth is there." Chaos erupted. My cousin Diego swore under his breath. Camila's aunt dropped her phone. My mom sobbed, her hand over her mouth. Lucas stared at the screen, his face ashen. Camila reached for me, whispering, "Mateo, please." I slipped off my ring and placed it in her hand. "You two belong together, but not with me." I walked down the aisle, guests parting like a sea. Javier's car waited outside. I got in, my tie loosened, and we drove away. Through the rearview mirror, I saw the villa shrink, guests spilling out, stunned. Back at my loft, I locked the door and sank onto the couch. My phone buzzed, calls from my dad, texts from cousins, strangers. I turned it off. By evening, a video of my speech was online, captioned, "Groom exposes cheating fiancé and best man at Buenos Aires wedding." It spread like wildfire, racking up views on X and TikTok. Local news picked it up. "Scandal at San Telmo Villa." My mom texted, "This should have stayed private, Mateo." I called her, but she didn't answer. My dad came by later, dropping off my suitcase. "I don't know how to fix this," he said, his voice heavy. He left without another word. That night, Lucas showed up. He looked wrecked, his eyes red, his shirt untucked. "I'm sorry," he choked out. "It was a mistake. I was jealous. Of you, your life, her." I handed him a printed text from Camila. "Mateo's too good for his own good." He stared at it, silent, then sank to the floor. "I hated being second to you," he whispered. "I thought taking her would make me enough." "You didn't take her," I said. "You broke yourself trying to break me." He left without another word. I locked the door and sat in the dark, the city humming outside. A week later, I hadn't left the loft. My phone stayed off, my inbox a mess of unread messages. My face was on every gossip site, my speech clipped into memes. My company emailed, suggesting time off for personal reasons. I knew what it meant. I was out. I'd lost my fiancé, my brother, my job. Friends I'd known for years ghosted me. A co-worker texted. Lucas was wrong, but did it have to be so public? I deleted it. The world wanted me to stay quiet, to swallow the betrayal. But silence wasn't an option when my life had been torn open. At night, I dreamed of the villa, Camila in my suit, Lucas laughing, guests pointing. I woke sweating my chest tight. I booked a therapist. After a session, she diagnosed acute stress response. "Would you have stayed quiet?" she asked. "No," I said. "I just wish people saw I wasn't trying to destroy them. I was just done pretending." 2 months later, Buenos Aires felt like a stranger city. I hadn't deleted the wedding evidence folder, but I hadn't opened it either. Then an email came from Camila. She'd lost her biggest design contract after the video went viral. Lucas had moved to Montevideo, couch surfing, his photography gigs drying up. She wrote, "It started at a bar after your birthday. We were drunk, lonely. It was supposed to be one time, but it became something else. You were too steady, Mateo. I felt like I was drowning in your goodness." I didn't reply. Instead, I wrote to Lucas, "I hope you learn to value yourself without stealing from others. I don't hate you, but you're not my brother anymore." I mailed it and felt lighter. My dad called. "I failed you," he said. I didn't see it. We met at a cafe in Plaza de Mayo. He took my hand, his eyes wet. "You were braver than me." We talked for hours, rebuilding something I thought was gone. A job offer came from a tech firm in Santiago, Chile, lead analyst for a blockchain project. I hesitated, but not out of fear. Santiago was an escape. It was a choice. I packed my loft, leaving behind anything tied to Camila or Lucas. In Santiago, my apartment overlooked the Andes from the 14th floor. The project was intense, building secure payment systems, and my team didn't know my past. They just saw me as Mateo. Their lead, Valeria, a coder with a sharp wit and a love for hiking, dragged me to the trails near Cerro San Cristobal. One day, after a climb, she said, "You made it through whatever broke you. Now you get to live." I believed her. At a tech conference, I met Nicholas, a soft-spoken developer with a dry sense of humor. We talked over bad wine, then started meeting for coffee, walks, quiet evenings. I didn't tell him everything, but he didn't push. A letter arrived from Lucas, postmarked Montevideo. He was in therapy, grappling with his choices. "I don't expect forgiveness," he wrote. "I just want you to know I'm trying to be better." I tucked the letter away, not ready to respond, but not angry anymore. I started a blog, anonymous, called After the Altar. I wrote about betrayal, silence, rebuilding, a post titled to the man who thought a ring meant everything went viral. Messages poured in from strangers who'd faced their own betrayals. I wasn't alone. One evening, standing on my balcony with Nicholas, the Andes glowing under a pink sky, I said, "I'm not promising forever, but I'm promising to be me." He squeezed my hand, and we stood in silence, the kind that felt like freedom. Mateo Alvarez, didn't need a wedding to feel whole. I needed myself, scars and all, to live a life worth remembering. Some stories don't end with revenge, but with resilience. And sometimes the courage to speak is the first step toward the life you were always meant to live.